The British Museum is one of the most popular and even beloved museums in the world, but in recent years it's also become the target of unparalleled criticism, accused of being a rambling collection of looted artifacts from Britain's imperial past. This debate reflects the changing dynamic between Britain, that once ruled a fifth of the globe, and the rest of the world, particularly countries in Africa and Asia. I have to state my lifelong fondness for the British Museum at the outset. I first visited in 1972, aged 9, for the exhibition of the Mosque of Tutankhamun and other items from the boy pharaoh's tomb, which were loaned by Egypt to museums around the world. I'm a friend of the museum and I do visit at least once a month. For me, it's like shaking hands with an old friend. But we're living in times where issues around race, colonialism, and the imperial past are being thrown into sharp relief. And attention focuses on these display items, the so-called Elgin Marbles. They once adorned the Parthenon, a temple on the Acropolis, which is a raised platform in ancient Athens. This incredible pillared temple was constructed in the 5th century BC to celebrate Greek victory over the Persian Empire. It survived intact down the centuries and even became part of the Roman Empire. When the Romans converted to Christianity, it became a church dedicated to the Virgin Mary. Modifications were made so that the Parthenon faced the right way and had a Christian nave, and there's evidence the same thing was done by Christians to ancient temples in Sicily, which were similarly converted, which I saw in 2019, with walls built between the pillars, for example. Then, when the Ottoman Empire conquered Greece in the 1400s AD, the Parthenon, already 2,000 years old, was converted into a mosque, similar to what happened to the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. A bell tower built by the Christians on top of the Parthenon was extended to become a full-blown minaret. Astonishingly, even by this stage, the Parthenon was pretty much intact 2,000 years after being built. But then came the year 1687, when the Parthenon met a fateful accident. The Ottomans were at war with Venice and decided to use the Parthenon as a munitions dump. They'd already used another Greek building for this purpose, the Propylaea, which had blown up, but no lessons learned apparently. And in a skirmish between Ottoman and Venetian forces, a Venetian missile scored a direct hit and blew the Parthenon up. So what you see today is really the remains of a disastrous war in relatively modern times. After the 1687 disaster, the remains were looted or sold off for other buildings. Then along came the 18th century, and travellers from Britain and other European countries on the so-called Grand Tour were keen to rediscover the decayed glories of ancient Greece and Rome. The British ambassador at the Ottoman capital Constantinople, a man called Lord Elgin, wasn't just satisfied with taking casts and drawings of the remaining artefacts. He set about procuring half the marbles that were still remaining at the Parthenon. Now, whether the contract with the Ottoman authorities was legal or even existed is a matter of heated debate. And even at the time, commentators like the pro-Greek poet Lord Byron were highly critical of the Parthenon marbles being removed. After a certain hiatus, the British government bought Elgin's marbles in 1816 and moved them to the British Museum, which is where they are today, visited by millions of people, ironically more than visit the marbles that are still in Athens. The debate about what museums should have in their collections is really reaching fever pitch. There's a growing chorus arguing that items obtained in the colonial past by dubious means should be returned, while others counter that do we really just want museums that only reflect one culture and cease to be global institutions. It's a polarized discussion, and only one side can win.